Well, good morning. Welcome to Integrated Preparedness. How are you all today? First off, welcome to all the new people. I'm Steve Smith, if you don't know who I am. It's great to have you here. We've had a lot of new people joining, both on the YouTube channel and the Patreon channel, and it's great to have you. If you're not with us yet on the Patreon channel, I really encourage you to do it. We have so much more over there, not just from me, but from our community. It's really something, and the link is down below, so come be with us if you'd like. Yeah, we're in Gatlinburg. Again, I'm kind of backlit here. I don't know if I look like I'm in the witness protection program or not, but it's a beautiful day in Gatlinburg. It's cool. Below 70, I think it is. It had a rain last night, and it's just perfect. You know, everybody has a temperature that they think is perfect, and I think this is my perfect temperature. So to start the day with a cup of coffee and sitting out here talking to you all, and the sound of the river behind me. Can you hear the river? I tell you, there's no better sound to wake up to than, you know, they call it a river. It's a stream, really. It's a mountain stream. I mean, you can walk across it on the rocks, and that's what gives it its sound, right? But it's just beautiful. It's not like a river that I was talking about yesterday. It'd be tough to get across, you know, if you had to hoof it home. But it's just beautiful. I'm going to spend a little bit of time down there just looking at it. Later we might go up into the park, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and I tell you, the rivers coming through there are beautiful. Let me have a sip and then I'll get going. I'm going to talk a little bit about pockets and maybe waypoints today. But by the way, I had so many comments on the last couple of, so many of you live around here. It's nice to know, kind of, you know, all of you around here, and I've had so many wonderful invitations. It's so nice, and suggestions of places to go and see, and I wished I had time to do all of it. We spent yesterday at Dollywood. You all know that I really like Silver Dollar City down in Branson. So because we have season passes. We've had season passes down there for years. Every year we just buy another, you know, season pass because we go down there so much. And because of that, it's owned by the same bunch of people, and so we get half off or something. I don't know. That's Kelly's ballpark. She takes care of all those specials. She finds so many specials and sales and things. So anyway, we get some kind of discount when we come to Dollywood, and the kids always wanted to come to Dollywood. They hadn't been here since they were, you know, next to nothing years old, and so we did. And I think my favorite part of it was spending $13 for a frozen dollar hamburger while I waited for the kids to stand in line for 2 hours for one 2-minute ride. But anyway, and my shoes are still wet from the water ride yesterday. It rained here last night, so we hadn't had a lot of sun to dry out my shoes. But hey, right? Is that the worst of my problems? I'm doing pretty well. Walk around in some wet shoes until they dry out. Today we're going to, I think we're just going to spend it in Gatlinburg, doing the Gatlinburg things. You could spend, and those of you who are from around here, and those of you who Gatlinburg is one of your favorite places, know this. You could spend a week just walking around Gatlinburg and finding new stuff to do and new places to eat. I think we're going to eat at the Pancake Pantry today. Heard great things about that. And it's right down on the strip in Gatlinburg. Probably go up on the mountain. I guess we're going to take the gondola or the chairlift. I don't know which we're going to take. Up to the top of the mountain behind us here, and then there's a bridge, a walking bridge. Looks kind of precarious to me, like an Indiana Jones kind of bridge, you know. It goes from one mountaintop to the other mountaintop. The kids want to do it, at least they say they do. You know, it's easy to say you want to do something until you get right there and go, oh, well, maybe not. But Dad said maybe not right away. So we will see. We'll go up there, and whether we go across the bridge or not, I'm sure we'll have a beautiful view of the surrounding areas. And I'll tell you, you know, I live a pretty darn relaxed life anyway. I really do. But every time I come, you know, whether I go our time down to Big Cedar or whatever, but here, you know, I discover I can be even more relaxed than I usually am. So pockets and waypoints. Let's touch on that. It's always kind of a show when I go through any line, you know, like into these big parks, theme parks, you know, and of course I have so much metal on, and I don't know whether it's the metal in my pocket setting it up. Probably is. Or Kelly says, well, it's probably the metal in your arm, and I don't know. But anyway, I'm always waved over to the side, sir, would you come over here and empty your pockets, you know. And so I do, and it takes me a while to empty my pockets, and I'm just taking one thing after another. You know, if you saw the video that I did on my EDC, everyday carry, for anybody who's not familiar with that term, you know what I carry in my pockets. I mean, I'm always ready for, you know, many things. I won't say everything. But for many things with what I have in my pocket. So I'm pulling out, you know, phones and wallets and folding knives and multi-tools, and it goes on and on and on and on. More stuff than that. And it's always kind of, when I start pulling this stuff out, even the people there who are checking this stuff start looking, you know, like, and finally, of course, they want to look through everything, and they look at my, you know, they take special attention to my P51, and then they always have to measure the blade of my knife, which is just within bounds. And then, you know, they made me do the airplane, and they scanned me and everything. So anyway, it's always a kick, and Kelly and the kids are always over there waiting, and other people are looking. It's always a good show. But I saw somebody sent me something. I don't remember if it was my niece. It could have been my niece. I don't remember. Some comedian did a bit on cargo pants. You know, I guess they were big back in the 80s. I didn't wear cargo pants back in the 80s, but I do now. And the ones that I wear now are Duluth Trading. I love Duluth Trading. They're heavy duty. They've got more pockets than you could imagine. They've got pockets in places you wouldn't think about pockets being. And I pretty much use them all, because, you know, once you get to thinking what would be useful to have in any given situation, of course a lot of that's driven by, you know, by your life. People says, hey, do you have a such and such? And man, if you don't have it, okay, you're gonna fix that right now, right? So as you know, over the years, and I have, you know, I like the Duluth. I won't stand up and do a fashion show for you, but I like the Duluth ones because the side pockets are not exactly on the side seams. They're set around a little bit to the front, you know, so you can get into them easier when you're sitting down, whether you're driving or whatever. And every pocket seems to have two other pockets inside of it, so there's plenty to hold whatever you want to hold. Well, anyway, this getting back to this comedian, he was doing a bit on cargo pockets, and how everything, you know, I shouldn't have probably started on that, because it was a funny bit. If I can find it, I'll put it up on the Patreon channel. But I won't be able to make it funny. It just reminded me. Now, you know, it's I think I'll throw the waypoints in here on this one too, because we touched on that, and several of our Patreon people touched on what they do as far as, you know, and many of them out there, especially on Patreon, many of them out there have gone through the same process I have, and that is whenever they're traveling, they know where their friends are. They know where those waypoints are that they would go to which they would go to get back home. And I think that's important. Some even go so far as to put caches, and I say cache, not cachet, because I'm not French. Put caches along the way. Mark Robinson, I'll mention him again. He said he had invited us to come past his place. We weren't able to, but he says, well, consider our place a cache. And well, thank you, Mark. But some have gone into it, in a lot of detail, and some not so much. So I thought I'd just cover a little bit of basic stuff for those who may not have thought about it. When you're in an area that you don't normally travel, it makes it a lot more difficult. Now, I've told you that our so-called bug out plan, or our alternative location resettlement plan, I have spots about every 5 to 8 miles from our home to places that we would want to go to, depending on what the big one was, right? But when you're 600-700 miles from home, you don't travel it all the time, you're not familiar with it. It makes it well, I won't say impossible, nothing's impossible, but it's close to being impossible. So, the night that I made the other one about that cannibal CME coming our way, and of course it wasn't a big one, it was just interesting, and it serves as a good drill format. I looked at, and I was explaining to the kids, and I looked at the atlas that I always carry with us whenever we're away from home, because the big one comes down, your atlas isn't going to shut down, right? And so the first thing that I do is I look back, and on the way down, I make mental notes, right? Okay, there's a good place, there's a campground, there's a national park, there's a state park, there's a rest area, there's a Walmart, there's a Buc-ee's. I just put, well, you all know about Buc-ee's? Gee, Merry Christmas. I had never been in a Buc-ee's before 2 days ago. I just put one up on the Patreon channel about Buc-ee's. You're going to want to see it. By the way, shout out to, well, no, I'm gonna wait on that for a while. Well, Wayne and Lynn over in Australia. Aussie land. Good to hear from you. I hope your friend, they said that they had bought a set of my books for a friend of theirs and thought they'd really enjoy it. I hope your friend enjoys it. It's good to hear from you guys. I hope you're doing well. So, I put that, it is like the most unbelievable convenience store you've ever seen in your life. It's got like 200 gas pumps, and they're all over down here, I guess. I guess they started in Texas. All you Texas guys know about Buc-ee's. And they're finally putting one in Springfield, Missouri, so it'll be on our stopping point when we go down to our cabin. But watch it. If you're with us on Patreon, I put it up over there. So I'm always looking for those things, as we're coming down. Okay, that would be a good place. That would be a good place. That might be a good place. Who knows about that place? I'm not going there. Different things like that, And then, of course, you don't always see everything, because if you're on the interstate, which we were, you're going to miss a lot of things. You might see a sign, but it's not going to give you an idea, really. So, what I would do, and before you travel, it's always good to get on Google Earth and follow your trail. Follow the path you're going, and take a good hard look and get down in there and see where your state parks are, your national parks, RV. What do they call them? Camps? I don't know what it is. The different places. Sometimes. Well, that's a little different, so I'm going to leave that out. but take a look at it and kind of go your path, you know. And the cool thing about Google Earth while it's still working, our Google Maps, is, you know, you can get down to a lot of times on the street view if they have run a Google vehicle through there, and you can see exactly what is going on around there, because things don't always look the same from the ground as they did from the air, right? Isn't that the truth? So kind of follow that. That's what I would suggest before a trip. Follow your route and see, okay, and you might even make a mark on your map, in your atlas. Okay, if I need to make my way back, here's a red dot, here's a red dot, here's a big red X, don't go there, you know, stay away from there. Downtown St. Louis, don't go there. And kind of, so you have a plan, and then, you know, what I did is the night that I made that cannibal CME video, I cracked open the atlas again and said, okay, is that still the best way? Is there a better way? And from here now, if we're looking at reality, here we are, how far can we make it on a daily basis? And then I start kind of plotting that out. I don't go berserk. I didn't spend an hour doing it. I spent maybe, you know, 15 minutes just kind of taking a look, because very possibly you'll make some adjustments along the way if you ever had to hoof it back, right? Adjustment, you never know. And I started thinking about a new book on that, and I think I'm going to write a book on that, exactly about a family starting out, the big one hits, and here they are, and they got to make their way back, because it's such an opportunity to put in so many lessons. You know, I talk about, and I didn't bring my books with me here. For any but new people, I wrote the Stone Mount series, and usually I'll hold them up and say, this is brought to you by the Stone Mount series, my books. And then I'll say, the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and hostages of fortune. And I explained, I said, I can make videos for 20 years and never get close to explaining all of the lessons that I've already covered in detail in my books. And that's the truth. And writing a book, you know, when you make a video, it's different. You can either hammer one point, or you can try to cover a lot of little points, or you can do a combination of the two, which is, you know, what I usually do, kind of an overall point and stick some extra points in there. But you can never get down to cover everything. There's no way to cover everything in a video format. And so that's why, you know, I get a lot of questions. Well, what would you do in this case, and what would you do in that case? And even though I can answer those to an extent, I can't answer them fully, you know, like I can when I'm writing a book. Because when I'm writing a book, I can talk about the different things that will happen, and, you know, to cause you to adjust your plans. And so I thought this would make an interesting book. And I think I've already started in my mind. I had plenty of time while I was sitting on benches at Dollywood yesterday, waiting for the kids to do on rides, to kind of think about what the book was going to be about. I could have dang near written the thing. Don't worry, I'll finish the 7th in the Stone Mount series first. Somebody asked me, is the 7th going to be the last? No, apparently not. You know, I thought it was going to be 1 book, then I thought it was going to be 2 books, and I thought, well, maybe I can get the whole story done in 3. We're now at 6. I'm working on the 7th. You know, at least 10, I guess. It just keeps going, because it's kind of like life. It keeps going, right? So think about that wherever you go. Think about your waypoints back. Do you have friends along the way? Now, in my case, you know, if I ran into, I'll note state police headquarters, sheriff's departments, things like that, because on the way back, I would stop at those places and say, hey, I'm you know, former LEO, and they would, not that they wouldn't help normal people, but, you know, just like you guys in the service, right? There's a brotherhood there that you could, you know, it might get you just a little extra. And, you know, you might have things in your life that are like that. Whether they might be law enforcement, they might be military, they might be something totally different. There might be a hospital. You might be a doctor or a nurse or or a paramedic, and you see hospitals along the way, and you can go in there and kind of through your professional, your professional commonality, touch base and maybe get something right that the average person wouldn't necessarily get. So those are things to keep in mind. Make sure you have plenty of pockets and know where your waypoints are. This is gonna be a beautiful day. I can't wait to get out there. But people keep calling me, man. I guess it's anyway. I'll let you know. I'll probably shoot one up there on top of the mountain and some other things that are of interest. But whatever happens, you all have a good day. I'm going to have a good day. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And another reminder to any of the new people or the people who aren't with us on Patreon, it is growing so much. And there is so much more information over there than there's ever been before. And especially on our community page. We've got a couple of great kind of series going on. Tom Usher's doing something on lighting and oil lamps and things that I never heard of. I mean, he really specializes in it. Tom is a contractor, and it's fascinating stuff. Mike Hoskins has put up he just put up the other day what he calls a lot of resources about CME, EMP, CME, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of the guys over there that are hams, and they're talking about that. I know nothing about that stuff, so it's nice to have them as a resource on that. You know, a lot of us, we don't know about this stuff, but when you have experts really talking about it, at least we can glean enough to know what basics we might want to have, right? Okay. So join us over there if you're not. Have a good day, and like I said, prepare well today. Think about what can you do today in case something happens, whatever it may be, tomorrow to make your life a little bit better. I'm going to go make my life better just by enjoying the day in Gatlinburg, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.